Hello, I'm Hank Green, one of the creators of Wizard School, which is right here, and I'm here to talk to you about how to play this game. Step 1, open the box. Inside you will have the rules, you will have the grade scale, you will have 8 pawns and a 6-sided die. You only need it as a way of flipping a coin, so like odds would win, evens would lose. But I have a coin from the Project for Awesome that I'm just gonna use for that purpose. You have your magic deck, it has all kinds of magical symbols on the back. You have your school deck, which has a school on the back, and then you have your bigger cards. And in amongst your bigger cards are your graduation cards, which have this magical symbols on the back but are bigger, and your student cards, and these are the people that you will be. You also have among the bigger cards rule reference sheets that you can keep out and use as you play the game. If you have a first edition of the game, there's a misprint in the game contents. It says that there are milestone tokens, there aren't. It says that there are 5 pawns, there are 8. Sorry about that. Now step 2, especially if this is your first time playing the game, is to shuffle your cards because they come in a very specific order, which is not what you want. This grade scale will always be in the middle of play, and all of the pawns start out having an A in Wizard School. The goal of the game is to never, ever get to F. If any of the players get to F, you lose. Everyone loses. It's a cooperative game. You have to have no one in your wizard squad get to F. Now that we're all shuffled up, I'm gonna say we're on step 3 now. What we're gonna do is turn over cards in the school deck until we get 2 monsters roaming the halls. Now, the first card I got was a Parakeet of Paralysis, which is a green monster. The next card is a Rope Climb, that's not a monster. And the next one is School Spirit, which is an orange monster. Green and red monsters actually will be activated at particular times in the game. We'll talk about when. Orange monsters have a perpetual effect all the time. This effect is, while the monster is in play, wizards may not improve their grade. That's not a terrible thing to have in the beginning of the game, whereas Parakeet of Paralysis, if that gets activated, discard any 2 cards, and that only happens to the active wizard, not to all the players of the game. So these monsters are now the monsters you start out with roaming the halls of Wizard School, your Parakeet of Paralysis and your School Spirit. Step 4 is your main step where you can customize the difficulty of the game, and that is with graduation cards. You have freshman level difficulty cards, you have sophomore level difficulty cards, you have junior level difficulty cards, and you have your senior year cards. The senior year cards are very, very difficult. Your freshman year cards actually make the game a little bit easier. The game is balanced for you to have 1 graduation card from each year, but if this is your first game ever, you might want to start with just 1 freshman year card and maybe 1 junior year card and only have 2 years of your school year. That'll give you a chance to get to know the game and not play a super long game while being a little bit confused about the rules in the beginning, which might mess you up in the end. But since I've played the game before, I'm just going to take a random card from each of the years, and those are going to be my graduation cards. The next step is to decide which student you are going to be. I like to pick 2 at random and then choose between the 2. I've got Che here, Che Aiza, and Melissa. So now I have to pick. Basically, signature spells are going to be the same level of awesome for all of the cards, and then you have your special ability and your upperclassman goal. Your upperclassman goal will level you up to an upperclassman, give you a better signature spell and a better special ability, and that will happen at the moment the condition is filled. For example, for Melissa here, at any point, if there are 5 monsters in play, Melissa becomes an upperclassman and has these new, better abilities. You don't have to be at any particular grade, and you never have to level up to an upperclassman to graduate. I like Melissa. I love the art. I like her special ability. On your turn, you may discard a card to stop any 1 monster from striking, and upperclassman, you can do the same thing, but on anybody's turn, any time in the game, which is great. You can stop monsters from doing bad stuff. Now it is time to deal out some cards. In this game, we're going to say that there's going to be 3 wizards playing Wizard School, so I'm going to put Che over here and Florette over here. Those are going to be my friends that I'm playing with, my imaginary friends. And we're going to deal out the cards. Now in Wizard School, these magic cards, they are your currency. Managing this deck is the most important thing. With fewer players, each player gets more cards because in order to win the game, you need a lot of cards. With 3 players, it's 6 cards each. You can consult the rules to see how many for each player. Now everybody has their hands. Now Wizard School is a cooperative game, so everybody can talk about what they have in their hands and work together to defeat the monsters they must defeat and take the tests they must take, etc. Now you've probably ended up with in your hand 3 different kinds of cards. Maybe not, but probably, because there are 3 different kinds of cards in the magic deck. You've got items, which you can play at any time during your turn. You keep them, you hold onto them, but you can only hold as many as your backpack will hold. Melissa can hold 3 in her backpack. You've got your magical friends. They can be played at any time at any moment during the game. So the voice of Morgan Freeman here, all monsters stop from attacking. And so if a monster is attacking, you can play voice of Morgan Freeman, immediately goes in the discard pile, but does the effect on the card. And you've got your spells, and spells are what you use in attacks. We will talk more about that in a sec. Your goal is to overcome 4 years of wizard school without anybody's grade getting to an F. So now we play. We turn over our freshman graduation card. We see what we have to deal with. There's an immediate special rule that will have an effect during the entire time that card is in play. It's Raining Frogs, which is the card here. Draw 1 additional magic card when defeating a monster. That's fantastic. Sometimes you even want to stay in freshman year a little longer so you can build up your hand. Just a hint. So I'm going to go first because I'm the only person playing. I am now the active wizard. It's my turn before I even do anything, because at any point in your turn you can do this. I'm going to play my item. My Y-Phone 12, add 1 divination power every time I use my signature spell. So now my signature spell is a lot stronger. So now I, the active wizard, will go to school, which means turning over a card from the school deck, and I got a test presenting a science experiment. Now a test is something that only affects me. While this card is in play, I may not attack red monsters. Now that's kind of a pain, but it's not a huge deal. But when passed, draw 3 cards and discard 1 of them, which is great. Now I also might have gotten an activity, like spin the bottle here. Activity, flip a coin. If successful, draw 2 cards. Activities can be good, they can be bad. They're just things that happen to you. You do them immediately, and then it's over. And it doesn't take your action for the turn. So you can get a test, an activity, or a monster. And a monster will come out and it will just sit in the hallway, and either it'll be an orange monster, in which case it will have a present effect on everyone playing, or it will be a green or a red monster, which will just hang out. Unless... we'll also get to that. But I didn't get a monster, I didn't get an activity, I got this test. So now it is time to take my action. Now there are a lot of different actions, a lot of things you can do during your action phase, which is why we have these little cards to have and keep handy so that you can read them. They're all written on there. First, let's very quickly breeze through the 3 ways that you could deal with cards that are already on the table. These are basically all attacks. You can attack a monster, you can take a test, or you can attempt to overcome a graduation milestone. We will talk about how all those things work very shortly, but there are also a bunch of other actions you could take. First, you can study, which means just draw a card from the magic deck and then your action is over. Second, you could take an all-nighter, which means that you would discard 3 cards, and then you would be able to take 2 actions instead of 1, so you get 2 extra additional actions. Third, you can tutor another wizard, which means you discard 1 card and you move their grade up by 1 grade. Fourth, you can socialize, which means that you would trade or give another wizard up to 3 cards. So I could totally just give Che 3 cards and he could give me 3 cards, and that would be my action. Third, you can explore, which means you would turn over another card from the magic deck, and if it's a monster or a test, which in this case it's a green monster, you could attack that monster or take that test immediately, not requiring an additional action. Now you might be thinking, why do I want additional tests and monsters in my school? But if you feel like you're in a pretty good position, there's not a lot of bad stuff on the board, and you want to build up your hand, that might be a good idea. Or finally, I can panic, which means I would take the top card from the school deck and I would discard it. Now I don't get to look at what's on the other side of the card, but on the back here we have one of the unique mechanics of Wizard School, which is what happens in the next phase when the school strikes back. There are 3 different symbols that might be on the backs of these cards: the green monster, the red monster, and the grade card. If the grade card is showing at the end of your turn, you lower your grade by 1. If the red monster is showing, all red monsters are triggered and they strike, and if the green monster is showing, the same but with green monsters. That is an important thing to keep track of, because now we know that the Parakeet of Paralysis will attack if it is still in play at the end of this turn. So I'm thinking maybe I want to try and take out that Parakeet of Paralysis. There's another reason I might want to do that too, which is that my signature spell, Transmutation, is also on the Parakeet of Paralysis' card. Using your signature spell is always good because it allows you to do some damage without using any of the cards in your hand, and your cards are your currency. It's even better because I got this Y-Phone 5, which will take care of one of the any magic icons. So without playing a single card, I can take care of half of this Parakeet of Paralysis, and then I can draw 2 cards if I get rid of it, and also because it's raining frogs, I get to draw a 3rd card. This is great, but I can't do it on my own because this is how attacks work. The active wizard attacks, but one other wizard can assist with another spell. The active wizard can use their signature spell, but no other wizard can. But the active wizard could also use a spell from their hand, and one other wizard can use 1 spell from their hand. So you can't use more than 1 spell per attack per person, so maximum 2 spells per attack. So I've talked to my wizard friends here, and I know what's gonna happen. I'm gonna use my signature spell because I'm the active wizard and I can. And that's gonna add a divination. So I've taken care of half of the requirements of this card. Now Che over here has the Summon GOATMOM spell, which will add 1 transmutation to the attack, taking care of another of the magical targets on that parakeet. Now every spell has a magical power and an additional rule. In the case of Summon GOATMOM, you have optional discard 1 card from your hand and draw 1 magic card. Now Che doesn't want to actually do that, so he's just gonna play the Summon GOATMOM spell to help me out with the parakeet. So he'll add that in, but he can't do anything else, and we've still got this extra magic that we can't take care of. Luckily, Florette, who can't take part of the attack with spells, can, at any moment that they wish, play a magical friend. And this magical friend adds an illusion to any attack, which will take out this parakeet of paralysis, which means I get to draw 2 magic cards. Now, I might want to keep these for myself, but I'm just going to split them and I'm going to give 1 to Che because he helped with the attack. However, don't forget, it's raining frogs, so I get to take another one. Now, I want to share this with Florette, but Florette didn't technically take part in the attack. She only called in a favor from her magical friend, the airfish. So I can't, and I get to keep it myself. The airfish, because it's a magical friend, immediately gets discarded. Summon GOATMOM also gets discarded because it was a spell used in the attack. My item, which was used to help amplify my signature spell, does not go to the discard pile, and my signature spell is my signature spell. It never gets used up. And of course the monster gets discarded as well. So if you defeat a monster, you get to draw some cards. If you take care of a test, there's some instructions for what to do when that happens. And if you defeat a graduation milestone, you also get to draw some cards, but only if you defeat them in order. So you start 1, 2, then 3. If you go 1, 3, then 2, you only get the cards for the first one. Tests, graduation milestones, and monsters are all dealt with the exact same way. The active wizard attacks with either their signature spell or a spell from their hand, and one other wizard can assist with 1 single spell from their hand. So now you have gone to school and you have taken your action. It is time for the school to strike back, at which point we see that the green and the red monster cards are showing on this 1 card. That would have activated that parakeet of paralysis, but there are no red monsters in play, and there are no green monsters in play, so we're totally good! Now, in order to graduate from wizard school, you have to take care of the graduation milestones on the card. Now, a lot of those are things that you can just attack, but sometimes they're conditions. So for example, with It's Raining Frogs, your second graduation milestone is to defeat 2 monsters total, and that's everybody working together. So if we defeated this school spirit monster, we would have done that, which is actually maybe bad, because we want to make sure that we take care of that first graduation milestone before we get to the second one. You don't have to, but you do want to try to do them in order so that you can draw those cards, because building up your hand is the name of the game in wizard school. Now, when you complete all of your graduation milestones on your graduation card, you discard it. Your year is over and the wizard's turn immediately ends, so the school doesn't strike back that turn. Any tests you also discard, but for every uncompleted test you have, you decrease your grade by 1. So I have a B now. But after your tests do that last little bit of damage, and before you flip over the next graduation milestone, everyone's grade increases by 1 grade. So I am back at an A. So you have a little celebration, and now it is time to start your next year at wizard school, starting our sophomore year. Turn it over, and our graduation card this year is literally a slippery slope. When the wizards defeat a monster, draw no cards. That's annoying. So now you gotta get your cards from tests or studying or graduation milestones or some other way. And of course, when you finish the graduation milestone and then discard a card and there are no more graduation cards left there, that means that you have beat the game. You are winners. You have graduated all 4 years of wizard school, or 2 years, or 3 years, or whatever you decided to play. Now, wizard school is a game with a lot of rules and a lot of different things you gotta keep your mind on. Throughout the game, you will be building yourself into a more powerful wizard so that you can take on the more difficult tasks that are yet to come. Don't rush through the beginning of the game because it seems easy. It's gonna get hard. And sometimes weird things will happen, like if you have the Velocirat, which is all red monsters in the school strike, and the semi-sentient lunch meat out at the same time, which is pick 1 non-friendly monster to strike, then you can make them activate each other infinitely, and that actually distracts them so they don't do any harm to you. Stuff like that happens. Wizard school is weird. Now, of course, when you put a game out, we've done a lot of playtesting, but the Class Clown card has caused a great deal of confusion. Because here's the second graduation milestone on this card. A wizard discards 4 equipped items at one time, then draws 2 cards. Now, there are a number of characters that can never have 4 equipped items at the same time. Like, even as an upperclassman, Melissa only has 3 items that she can hold in her backpack, and so you can't ever have 4 items out at the same time. Now, what you can do is you can discard 1 and then play another and then discard 3. It is a thing that will work, but I understand how confusing that card is. So you can either, if you've seen this video, play it that way, or you can just not include it in the game. But with a weird game like this with a lot of rules, there are going to be questions. So if you have those questions or confusions or concerns, you can ask them in the comments. We will keep a running list of answered questions pinned as the top comment on this video. Wizard School is available now for sale at dftba.com for $23.99. I really like it. It can be pretty intense. Don't be afraid to use 2 or 3 graduation cards instead of 4 when you're starting out. It's a beautiful game. It's a fun game. It's a silly game, and I'm really proud of it. So if you were a backer on Kickstarter, thank you for helping us make this a reality. And as they say in my hometown, don't forget to be awesome.